Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the D Hoop University podcast. This is your host, Daryl Harris, and this is a bit of a special offering so far in episodes that have come out. This is, as you'll hear very quickly in the listen, a reunion of sorts. I got to bring my guy Chuck in here so we could talk specifically NBA draft, NBA draft lottery. Sat on this episode for a day. The lottery's tonight. Think it's the perfect time to get it out. We've been kind of biding our time because instead of giving surface predictions on these first two series, we're wanting the games to be played. So this is coming out in advance of the lottery reveal, and you will get another episode shortly with recap of game one in the Western Conference Finals between the Lakers and the Nuggets. And we're going to bring in our Miami affiliate. We are starting to show the network here, folks. We have our Dallas correspondent coming on right now, who's also our draft correspondent. And later tonight, we're gonna have our Miami Heat aficionado join the team and for some timely conversation. So that should be fun. Enjoy this lottery preview. If your team's in the lottery, may the odds ever be in your favor. I pray that your team doesn't get Wemby. Without further ado, let's talk some draft. First of all, say it ain't so. The return of the half court trap for the one time. I'm here with my guy. Haven't got to see him in a minute. And right on schedule. Here with Chuck. Go ahead and talk to the people.
What's up, Daryl? How you been? I appreciate you having me on, making some time to talk to me today about the draft, and looking forward to catching up a little bit.
No, 100%, dude. It's funny just because I really will keep in mind things that you tell me about prospects. And so, like, with this draft in particular, I just like, you know what? I need to hear Chuck. I need to get his input and see where I feel. So, with that, let's kind of just start at the top because if there was a consensus number one overall pick in any year, it's this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got like a little page of notes that I've taken over here on my phone. And I didn't take any notes for Wemby. I just have the word Victor in big bold letters. And
I
then
have Wemby.
right. Yeah, we're like what I mean, the stats are unbelievable, but like with any prospect, it really doesn't make sense or have any context until you kind of watch a little bit. And every time I watch him, I feel uncomfortable because somebody that's his size and his length shouldn't be doing what he's doing and have the skill that he has. Um, so I actually have a very real concern that he will like break the game of basketball if he acclimates the way that he could and if he stays healthy and has longevity. Now, again, those are all huge question marks given his size and given that we've never seen anyone like him before.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's a no-brainer that we're along the same lines because I'm of the mindset of like there's no hyperbole with this guy. With the projections or just whatever you want to predict, him to be as a player, whatever the numbers are. I'm like, no, nothing's off the table. Like I don't, and I don't know a movie to compare it to, but it's like you've seen the trailer and it's just like, oh, count me in, like 100%. I haven't kept up with what the Metropolitans have been doing on the day to day, but it's like, no, I think I really can't wait. I just looked at the calendar and was like, this is less than 2 months away. This is more like 6-7 weeks away. Say he plays a summer league game and that's out here. Say
does he need to though?
But say we just get one. Zion played in one.
We'll see. I mean, he's been a professional for a couple of years, and I'm
Right.
I'm not sure if their season is still going, but I know their season runs at least partially concurrent to the NBA.
Luka didn't run in summer league, did he?
I don't know. I don't think he did.
He like won a national like a EuroLeague title and like MVP that summer instead.
Yeah, he was busy. Um, but that's another thing we have to remember is, I mean, he's already been a professional for a little bit, so
Now,
what that does,
sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
That you can factor that into this question too, but what team intrigues you kind of the most at the top? Because that's the only
For
variable kind of
Victor,
left. Yeah, that's the only variable left in it is where is he going to land up?
so I mean, it's also the team that probably scares me the most with him at the top, and that's just San Antonio, given their track record and proximity to the Mavericks. That would be awful. I would hate that.
I think San Antonio won't get it because they've only been in the lottery now like 2 years, and I think the ping pong balls don't work like that. I think
Okay.
there's mad juju to the lottery, and that's my take. They might, but I don't feel like he is, and I would hate it as well.
I mean,
It would be
Detroit would be
everybody's nightmare.
the most fun, but I think San Antonio would be the best for him.
How do you like him in Houston?
I mean, so Houston has more talent on the roster than San Antonio right now, and there's a reason him being in San Antonio would scare me more. I don't think there's a great culture right now in Houston, and I'm not sure how serious all of those guys are.
Ime
You know,
Udoka?
I know he's serious about some things.
What about in Charlotte?
I could see that. I mean, it would be a lot of fun just letting him run with LaMelo, and if Book Knight ends up developing into anything, that's the skinniest team of all time, but could be a lot of fun.
Get MJ's hands on him.
You
And
know,
you know what? That team I saw the other night, that team was 43 and 38 or whatever the number is
well,
two
look,
years
here's
ago.
here's the problem. Here's the problem. You could put Vic on any team in the NBA and convince me that they're making the playoffs next year. Like he's
I'm on the
potentially
same
that
page.
impactful, and
Same
so
page.
that's
It,
why it's almost a mute point talking
it
about
doesn't
like
matter.
what. Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, the only thing I think that is potentially preventing him from ascending quickly to the top ranks of the league is can he stay healthy and how quickly is he going to acclimate not only to the American game but just the culture of being over here.
Yeah. No, man, we're excited. That's in 2 days as of now, maybe sooner as of when you're listening. So that's got some momentum behind it. Looking at the rest of the field, it's funny because I just looked at a mock draft to, get back in the mindset. And wouldn't you
Right?
know, the Mavericks snuck pick number 4.
Oh, did we now?
You sure did. And man, so are you going Scoot next wherever, or do you think it depends on the team?
I mean, I think there are some team dependent questions there just because Scoot is a clear lead guard, ball dominant guard, and if that's something you already have squared away, then sure you may have to evaluate if you want to keep your current player or go get Scoot, but it doesn't really make sense to have both. So I could see one of the Thompson brothers or maybe even Brandon Miller sneaking up there to number 2, just if it's the best fit for that team. But just in terms of overall talent and what I see, I mean, Scoot is,
You would love Scoot at number 2?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
not for Dallas because Dallas is one of those teams where it just makes absolutely no sense.
yeah,
But
maybe, but maybe shoot, but
we
yeah.
we need. I mean, look, if we take somebody under 6'6", I'll probably riot just out of principle.
Well, if that's the case, the options would be aplenty because I'm looking over the board and I'm like, yo, why is everybody 6'8", 6'9", bouncy, a little range? It's a funny snapshot draft class and recruiting class of the era that these players are coming out, modeling their
Right.
games after. So, we've seen Giannis a couple years now and just, unconventional positions. And I don't know how I would really differentiate a handful of these guys outside of, Scoot, probably Brandon Miller towards the top. And then they're so similar at face value. It's kind of like
So
picking names out of a hat. I'll let you talk about whoever you really
for
want to from
me,
that point forward.
I push back a little bit because I almost think Scoot is on a tier of himself tier of his own below Wemby, but ahead of Miller and the Thompson brothers and the rest of the class. I mean, he is bar none the most athletic player in this class. He attacks the rim like it insulted his mother. He has a great change of pace. He shifts gears better than anyone I've seen probably since Derrick Rose. I mean,
It's
you watch
reminiscent,
him. Yeah, it's
but
like,
he's so much bigger.
yeah, he's built right. I mean, you see John Morant. You see John Morant take all of these hard falls, and you worry how long he's going to be able to continue to get up from falls like that. And I just think Scoot's built a little bit sturdier, but has that same kind of ferocity and that same kind of mentality.
Yeah, I look at guys like Jimmy Butler when they're like having moments. It's like that guy's like made of something a little different,
Yeah.
or like he's put that
Now
into his body.
he's got to work on his jump shot and he's got to get a little more consistent in that area. But just he's got a great feel for the game. He attacks. He's got a great nose for the ball on both ends. He's a good rebounder. I think that's somebody that is going to have a pretty immediate impact in the league, especially if he lands in a good situation for him.
Now I'll let you ring off a couple more guys.
So another guy that I really like, and I've really liked him for a couple of years now, is Keontae George coming out of Baylor.
He was on my list to ask you about.
Yeah, so he's, really since his senior year of high school, he's looked like a polished NBA scorer. He's got a variety of moves. He can finish around the basket. He's not the best athlete. I mean, he will be able to dunk on you and he will, body you up, but he's not going to just blow past you in most situations. But very high level shot maker, can get space whenever and however. Just very, very smooth. He didn't close the year very strong, and he does need to improve his efficiency a little bit. But I mean, he was taking a lot of difficult shots at Baylor and really, really impressed me every time I watched him play.
Something about his game does just give off NBA
It's
skill
Bradley
set.
Beal-esque. Like Beal didn't have the best
It's
freshman year at
polished.
Florida, yeah, but he just looked so polished that everything seemed like it was going to translate really, really well. And that's kind of how I feel about Keontae George too.
I was hoping for that to emerge like in the tournament and stuff, but it that doesn't usually reflect the best on. You just don't get the opportunity to show everything during the tournament. But that's interesting. You see him maybe going as high as what?
Mm,
Seven,
I was
eight.
gonna say I think 6 or 7 is probably his ceiling, and like 12 is probably his floor.
It, there's a lot of these forwards ahead of the guards in this draft, outside of Scoot, of course.
I think it depends how you classify the Thompson twins.
So talk to me about these guys, man, because for one, I don't know how serious people are taking this overtime thing. I, for one, am unfamiliar on a
So
I paid attention to it level, but so
it's
they're
not
off the
the
radar
same,
for me.
it's not the same level of competition as G League Ignite or probably even college. Um, so
Like, are these the guys who like LaMelo was on teams with in high school?
I don't know about all that, but they're both incredible athletes. They're old
Yeah,
for the class, and so that's another thing where it's like, how developed are they already? And neither of them can shoot, but they're both exceptional defenders. They're both incredible athletes. I believe Amin is the one that's a little bit more of a lead guard, and Asar is
at
a little bit more off the ball. But
at
I,
six
I'm
foot.
50-50 shot. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, but at 6 foot, what
7,
6'7" ish.
six,
Okay,
six, 6, 7. I mean, they're definitely NBA athletes and they're definitely NBA defenders. Um, the jump shot's going to need to come around a little bit for them to be the weapons they can be on offense. But if it does, then both are very high level players.
so I'll toss a question at you here because somebody who I think like similar to a Tyler Hero, where maybe I could see it, but like he didn't go top 10. You know what I mean? Grady Dick. I
I'm a
have a
bit
feeling that he might be a baller because he's got a shot. Like he's got a
yeah.
jumper.
I mean, he does have a jumper. He seems a lot more proficient from the stationary setting than like Tyler Hero was more adept, I think, at coming off the dribble, and
Right.
maybe I didn't
They're
watch
not
quite
similar
enough of
players. They're not similar players, but you could factor them into today's offenses
Yeah,
pretty.
I mean, he can shoot, he'll compete. I'm not sure how he'll do defensively. And I don't think he's a great ball mover. I think sometimes he can be a bit of a ball stopper, looking for his own
Yeah.
shot.
I
But
meant I'm
I
just
mean,
interested to see.
he's 6'7". He's plus athlete, plus shooter. He'll go in the lottery in all likelihood.
Yeah. Interesting to see, how the lottery shakes and where guys land. I'll keep an eye on that one. But I don't know. If there's some more guys that you want to let fly, let me know.
One that I really like, even though he had a bit of a, I don't want to say disappointing season because he was productive, but maybe just not up to the standards some people had for him coming in. And that's Jalen Hood-Schifino out of Indiana.
Yeah.
He's big guard, 6'6", 215, averaged, 13 and a half, 4 and 3, 4 and 4 on, 42, 33, 78 splits, which is not super, super impressive, but he has a great feel for the game. And I'm a sucker for these guys that play at Montverde or IMG or any of these big, big basketball factories because it tells me they know how to play within a team. They know how to adjust to a role. And, they're used to competing at a high level day in and day out.
Yeah.
And so he does need to be a little bit more efficient and cut down on the turnovers a little bit. But I think, whether he's playing more of a lead guard situation or off the ball, I think he's somebody that has potentially a very high value to a team in the late teens, early 20s.
In the same range of picks, maybe a guy like Jordan Hawkins. What do you think about that?
So it's tough for me. Jordan Hawkins was good all year, but then he was great in the tournament. And I feel like a lot of times with players that are great in the tournament, we have rose-colored glasses on when it comes to evaluating for the draft process. So I don't know if he's going to participate in any of the combine 5-on-5s or anything like that. I think that'd be interesting to see if he does. But I mean, just as somebody with his potential as a defender and obvious ability as a shot maker, he'll go in the first round. I'm not sure how high his ceiling is because I feel like there are a lot of guys similar to Jordan Hawkins in this class. And
Yeah.
so,
Speaks to the variance that's going to happen. Yeah, no. Here's what about Zach Edey? He's in the draft, right?
technically,
How high would you take him?
I wouldn't.
Reasons being.
Just I mean, it's the same concerns I have almost with Wimby with so much less upside in terms of what's the longevity, how productive is he going to be able to be at 7'4" for a long span of time, but also he's not Victor Wembanyama. He's slow, and so I watched the Mavs when we had Boban, and it was great. It was awesome, but if we played him more than 12 minutes in a game, we were cooked.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. And I know that wasn't your comparison, but I don't know. To me, with the resurgence of like big men right now, and you look at the success of like Walker Kessler, Edie did
He
what he
doesn't
was supposed
have
to
he
do.
doesn't
Like he
have
wasn't he
that.
wasn't Taco Fall either.
No, but Edie doesn't have that lateral mobility that Kessler has. And
Kessler's
look,
pretty nice.
for Edie to be in the game offensively, you have to play heliocentric basketball around him. Like he's not somebody that he's going to be by the basket, anchoring everything. There's nowhere else you can put him, and that's not going to work in the modern NBA for long stretches of time.
I would be that guy in the room where I'm like, are we sure? Like, are we sure we don't just want to take the All-American 7'4" and see if he can at least be the backup? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm very biased here, but if you want to talk about a guy that I would take at the end of the second round just because of my belief in his ability to impact the game right now, I would take Leaky Black from North Carolina.
you could sell me on Leaky Black. I would have your back in the room.
He's, like 6'8" with probably a close to, if not 7-foot wingspan, can defend 1 through 4. And look, in December of 2022, and great result because he played 5 years, right, due to the extra COVID year, became the first UNC player ever to have 600 points, 500 rebounds, 300 assists, 100 steals, and 50 blocks in his career.
Yeah, he was doing everything. That's crazy.
Everything. And he's somebody that can legitimately guard 1 through 4 in the NBA today.
I'm glad you mentioned his name because he wasn't on my list to bring up specifically. And I agree with you.
Well,
I 100% agree with you.
I don't think he'll get drafted. I just think
That's
maybe
crazy.
he should. I just think
no,
maybe he
should. It's, it's the guys. It's like, Austin Reeves was undrafted. And, on the same team, Rui Hachimura is a lottery lock.
Well,
and you don't know what you're going to get either. And
so who else
things
was
play
undrafted?
out.
That leaker reminds me a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith.
He 100% seems like the 6'6", two-way combo
Dorian
guard or forward
when
that can just be in your rotation.
Yep.
100%.
And that's valuable at the end of your bench, I think.
What about Derek Lively?
Oh, he's on my list, actually.
I figured he would be.
Yeah, he's actually if the Mavs stay at 10, he's probably my preferred pick there. Now, I think that's a little high for Derek Lively, and I think his value to a team like Dallas is just significantly higher than it would be in most other cases.
What kind of player comps aren't perfect by any means, but what kind of what impressions does he give you?
Rudy Gobert.
That's impactful.
Now, he needs to be more aggressive, which is part of the reason I say Rudy Gobert. But when he's locked in and engaged, he is an absolute monster on defense. He swats everything. He's a freaking pogo stick at 7'1". And he would come in and be, an immediate lob threat and rim protector at a very high level.
Yeah, he shouldn't really fall. He shouldn't really fall past, like you said, that 10 spot.
He will. No, I think his value to Dallas is higher than it is probably for any other team in the league, just because of how we're currently constructed and what we need. But I think he's like, how Walker Kessler, like you were talking about, winning the late 20s. I think he's somebody that could have that kind of similar potential impact right away, where it's like, because he wasn't outstanding at anything or highly, highly productive in college, or maybe underplayed his high school ranking. He just kind of gets glazed over a little bit, but I think he'll be a productive NBA player probably from day one.
Yeah, it's a good group of bigs that are getting mixed in with the bigs who kind of got some early success as well in the past 2 drafts as well. So interesting to see how they immediately stack up. The Dallas loophole of it all, I'll let you explain a little bit. And it just wouldn't be right if I didn't get your thoughts on Dallas's offseason at least a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see what Kyrie wants to do and kind of go from there.
How does that feel? Like, where are you? Are you pro Kyrie? Are you pro the move? Were you pro them?
No, I'm okay. So I'm pro the move. Like, Kyrie has whatever baggage Kyrie has, but he is undoubtedly one of the best offensive players I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
He is unquestionably the best ball handler I've ever seen in my life. Um,
it's nasty.
and when you have the option to pair that kind of offensive talent with Luka, who I think is probably the best offensive player in the league right now, then the tandem and the potential for that tandem is something you can't pass up. Now, what it did to our rotation and did to our defensive capabilities was less than ideal.
Yeah. No, yeah. You know what? It's kind of like I just thought of this, but I feel like Dallas sort of adopted Kyrie by making the move for him in the midst of like all the other front offices saying, there's uncertainty, you don't know what you're going to get. But
The,
of course, there's a market because, he's great.
yeah, the city's been pretty receptive towards him thus far. I mean, like everything's been pretty smooth.
I think he'll match that. And because I was like, are you even factoring him, being on the roster, like you said? But
No, I mean, I think he
that's
comes
just one
back
domino.
because one, we want him. Two, I don't know how many other places do. And three, he'll probably get more money from us.
Right.
So like,
Now you guys like adopted him. I
yeah,
respect
yeah.
it.
And now we're stuck with him for better or worse. So like
Yeah,
hopefully that's better.
it's like he couldn't. At least we have him, like 100%. No, man, there's. It's crazy. The West clearly is a toss of a rock between either making the conference finals or not.
And I really wanted us to tank those last few games to try and really secure a first round pick this year. And now I'm kind of mad because like I was watching the Warriors Lakers series and no disrespect, but I was watching these games, I was like, neither of these teams are good. I was like, this is not good basketball.
No, and then you hit the point where you're like, all right, so this is what's left.
Yeah, dude,
Wow.
I was watching game 6 and I was angry. I was like, this is bad basketball. Like, this is trash.
You didn't love LeBron's closeout stutter step on Clay and shuffle to Steph.
Sure, that was nice. Whatever. Like, but it was a bad game. Like, you're a Lakers fan, and even you couldn't
For
have
Clay to put up a brick.
enjoyed watching that game. You might be happy the Lakers won, but there's no way you enjoyed watching that game.
Oh man. No, I feel you. If they were in this Phoenix, I never took seriously just because it was too fresh and they weren't deep enough. And
Can you
I didn't
believe they fired Monty Williams?
I definitely can, but it
I
was
hope
very
we find
quick.
Jason Kidd and
It
go
was
get him.
mad quick though. like like they made it seem like it was egregious what played out. And dude, he had two dogs out there in a race in a marathon where it was just like, dude, we're not equipped.
And he had
I
a
don't
third
know.
dog named Chris Paul, but that dog only had 3 legs and is very old.
I think that dog's out of there as well. In
Oh,
that
really?
sense, oh yeah, man. No,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I thought now. Yeah, my bad.
no, I feel you. But so I don't know if hypothetically Dallas was in the mix, anything's possible with the way it was going down. And I'm glad that this happened though, because dude, who else was going to beat the Warriors if they didn't play the Lakers in this round? Like if it didn't play out like this, I think the Warriors would have got away past every team and won the
Oh
finals.
no, dude.
Denver
They don't have nothing to
should
do with
have.
Jokic.
Denver, they probably would have. Golden State might have pulled it out in 7.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, I don't know. I think
I'm glad it happened though. I'm glad it
I,
happened. I
I'm
don't. I didn't want to see much. I didn't want to see it much longer either.
I kind of hope Miami can just grime it up with the Celtics and make that interesting. But I do think the Celtics are pretty clearly the superior team.
Right. My concern is I don't know if they're mentally disciplined enough to show up and say the first 3 games of that series and play their best in those first 3 games and not be in some sort of 2-1 at Like,
Hey,
I
well,
don't think they can get the 3-0 to really
you,
shut the door. And
you know who is going to
Miami's
show
going to be
up?
alive in like game 4, like
You
very
know,
alive.
you know who is going to show up?
Jimmy,
Michael Jordan reincarnate.
this is an interesting domino that got this whole off
He
playoff.
plays insane
They
every
got this
playoff.
whole postseason just drunk in terms of what people's expectations were.
It's like Jeff T came out with the story about what really went down in that practice, and Jimmy heard that and was like, "All right, bet they know me."
He forgot. He was like, yo, that I was like, I
I'm
sure
him.
did. You know what? I should do it to him again. They're not ready for it. He's 100% laughing to himself like at the end of the night, like, yo, this is
Oh,
hilarious.
he's
This is hilarious right now. It is incredible though. It's incredible. The game winners, the for some reason I knew they were going to win the game against Milwaukee where he hits the alley-oop with a second and a half left at the rim where they just had no business being there. And I'm like, I'm watching this like, all right, how are they going to pull this off? They did it. Like, of course they did. Nah, man. I think they're here to capitalize on Boston's loose strings, whatever it may be.
we'll see. I mean, we'll see if they can really hold it together. I think you do bring up a good point with that. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, only 4 teams left.
Yeah, man. It is it's starting to we'll see. Hopefully I think we're getting 6 or 7 out of both of these. So a lot's gonna happen in between now and where it really gets to shape. But
Yeah.
it's a little disappointing that game 7 was kind of a dud. I feel like once the Embiid injury diagnosis was out before the series began, I was like, oh, I can't take him serious. I can't take him seriously now.
I didn't get to watch
And
the
it
game,
got close.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I can tell you, it was competitive in the first half, and then Embiid looked as hampered and as um held back by the injury as he had the entire time he was like on the
Okay.
floor trying to play. And to the point where it was like, all right, this is kind of like 4-on-5-ish because he's getting nothing in transition. Like he's barely getting up back and forth. He's trailing every play.
Yep.
And Tatum was locked in. He had 25 in the first half.
He had
And
51, right?
right. And I said that because at the 25 mark, you're like, okay, he's getting 50 tonight. I don't, there's no reason he's not getting 50 because everything's like just rolling. He's
Yeah.
not forcing anything. It's just dropping.
Yeah.
And no surprise, he could have had 55, 56 if it was more competitive. But so yeah, it was, Boston, they played with them enough to bring out what they needed to, and their ceiling is the finals. So they can't play around with Miami like that.
Right. No, you can't. You got to handle your business with Miami.
Yeah. Nah, man, this was good, bro. I have one kicker for you.
All right.
Bronny James. Where are you? Where are you on the Bronny stock? Before
So
you
I'd be shocked.
surprise, surprise, I'm here for it.
No. I think it's great. I love that he's going to USC. I don't think USC is necessarily like the best fit. Just, him, Isaiah Collier, and Boogie Ellis. That's a pretty crowded backcourt. Um, but I love that he's, staying home or whatever. I feel bad for Ohio State that they're never going to get anyone from the James family to ever attend there for a single day. But I think Bronny's a really solid
They don't
prospect.
need it, dude. They don't need it.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think he should be one and done just like based off what I've seen. Obviously, that can change with how he performs, but I mean, I think he projects as a really, really solid college player at the very worst. He's a great defender. His shot looks so much better than his dad's did at a similar age. And I think he's just further along in his mental development. But, he's not the athlete his dad was.
Yeah. I like the Bronny element in terms of, okay, now we get to watch him as a college player, getting to take the ride with this transition process and him becoming probably, an NBA prospect player, whatever plays out. But because the stereotypical comparison to his dad just isn't there
No,
for
they're
some
very, very.
reason. So it's nice to just be like, all right, well, let's see what happens. So, and naturally, I like it on multiple levels because he decided to go to SC. I've been hoping
Yep.
that one of these LA schools do something serious, and not that he's the top of his class, but I'm intrigued in the prospect. I think
Well,
he's
I
a
really
good
thought,
athlete, a very good a plus athlete, and he's kind of unselfish is what I get from him.
yep, same.
So that can be winning. That can be
I
winning characteristics.
I really thought both Oregon and UCLA were better fits for him, but Oregon's obviously not in California, and UCLA is obviously not a Nike school. So,
Man, you busted that in a matter of seconds. It probably really was that simple. I'm here for it. I think it's actually a really good thing for college basketball, like you said.
yep.
I think it'll draw some eyes on some games, and he's kind of been an outlier, and he might run in a couple seasons there.
Well, and I almost think, I mean, Boogie Ellis is the returner, so obviously he's not the odd man out. He's the captain. But in my mind, as a fan, I kind of wish Boogie Ellis wasn't there because I kind of want to see just Isaiah Collier and Bronny run it.
You can convince me that there's room for it in whatever kind of game they want to play.
Oh, and Andy Enfield will figure it out, right? Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
the same guy that did Dunk City, so like they'll get out and run, right? It's not a big deal, but
You got me a little more excited for that, and now I'm sad that it's a ways away. But that's good. We'll rock out. We'll check back in sometime between now and the draft,
for sure.
and we'll work in divine and plan to cook something up good for the draft and afterward in summer league and all that good stuff.
Well, and once we have the lottery out, we can really kind of do like a mock draft or something like that. I don't like doing the big boards because I think it's all so dependent on what situation, what team player ends up with.
Yeah.
So
No, this was a good check-in with where everything is right when it's about to get good. So thanks for jumping on, man.
yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Good to see you as always, and glad everything's going well.
I mean, much love, brother. We will do this again soon.
All right, man. Sounds like
Later,
a plan.
dog.
Take care.